What's up, guys? This is going to be the Northwoods Showdown full match breakdown. I'm going to present these stages in order of completion. The stage results that you're seeing in the corner are results of CO and LO being combined. The next closest competitor was Mr. AJ Anthony, who was shooting LO. I edged him out by a few points, luckily. But we'll go through the whole match. Stages are presented in order of completion. I would strongly recommend you watch the full match video before you watch this video so that I don't have to play every video to completion. You can sort of scan through it, and if you have any questions, I'll probably answer them over the course of the video. So let's get started here.
Stand by.
So this section here, this is the interesting part. Pretty much everyone did the same plan where they whacked the two targets off the right side to begin with. Over into here, there's a lot of ways to skin this. You can see there's a lot of stuff available from this one position. A lot of people opted to do a lot of transitioning around back and forth through these openings and try to basically make it more efficient so they could just walk steadily kind of in one direction from the front of the back of the zone up to the front. And I took it a little bit more linearly, so the transitions are, you see as I work through here, I kind of only have access to one target at a time, but it enabled me to work the motion in a much more simple manner. So a couple extra shots here, but working with a slightly harder presentation. And the game plan here is to work basically on these two targets in this quadrant right here. Take a couple steps up so that I can get to this next target in the sequence right here. And with my feet basically on this line that you can see on the ground right here, I can get both feet basically planted on this line nicely. I can lean in a deep left lean to get this target and stand up straight to get the one that's back behind this barrel stack right now. Like so. And I can kind of step up and out and then step around the front of this wall to get in this position here. The tricky part here is stepping back in. There's a lot of potential to lose time right here, and I ended up with a very narrow base in this position, and you can see I kind of lose my balance trying to get at this first target. I decided to be patient and wait to get the stability needed to get that, so I didn't have to shoot a bunch of extras or miss having a miss this partial in the very first stage. Otherwise, it's a pretty decent stage performance right there. Just kind of a stage that's very choreography heavy, where every foot has to land in the exact right place, so you'll lose your flow. And you can see it. I did right there. Not the end of the world or anything. Ended up being a sort of a mid-stage performance on the whole. This stage had very few realistic options, and steel scattered all about. And the actual performance was good. I was able to maintain really aggressive motion, getting in and out of a lot of these positions. The time was very good. Just play this straight up. You see that little bit of an over transition there. And really focused through these sections. You can actually kind of see it right there on the ground. This retreat back to that first tuxedo, I ended up stepping outside the zone a little bit, but got spun around well before the position, so I was able to not lose any time getting at that. And then I was focused on just trying to not lose my balance coming around this corner. So at this point right here, I'm focused on that aspect. You can see this really gnarly over transition up to the plate. There's a moment of refinement there before I'm able to get it. Came pretty shallow in this position, focusing on the reloads. You can see I don't have a whole lot of target to shoot at right there, so I ended up lobbing one through this barrel. Had to shoot an extra shot right there, to be clear. Pulled off of this, saw the paint explode. And the rest is pretty clean. Again, okay, not great stage performance there. This next one is a shorter stage where basically the only way you could save time was to take movement options as these wide transitions opened up on the plates. So basically trying to take these two targets more or less standing, not trying to make a lot of progress on them, and then really dive in hard shooting this guy. So the only place to save time there really is just connect on the steel the first time. So this stage here, started this wall, run over into this corner, and from this point, I give you a bit of an overview. I realized by the time I got here that my plan was not necessarily the best, but I was committed to it. There's lots of ways to do it. I can't, memorize, execute more than one plan. So whack these three targets to kind of isolate the position. As I do this transition to this guy in the back, I take a deep step back towards the center to get at this plate back here. Proceeding on, connected on that. I was not super confident in the actual, I heard the hit and like I, loosely aimed to the shot at the target, but I thought it might have been kind of on the edge. So I end up looking at this thing sort of as I run by around the front here. Deep transition here, reload, looking to make sure that thing's down. And from here, I basically have to get spun around in this position and engage this target that I'm looking at the backside of right here. And then execute a super deep lean to get at the rest of those steel on the left, plus this one target behind the barrel. So hitting this position is gnarly. Takes me a second to get in there. And then right here, again, you're launching out of a super deep left-hand lean. So the gun comes up from low just as I'm getting my balance, and I'm shooting pretty much with no sights. My plan was to shoot this just pretty much point shooting as I scuttle back to get back towards the last position. And unfortunately, like I just never really got the sight back. So when I get in this last position, I shoot a couple extras because the sight's all over the place. I'm not following any rules for a 10-yard tuxedo, which so that was the biggest time loss right there by far. Here's another stage with a few ways to execute. I ended up basically, this is some of the farthest and hardest shots in the match right here. I ended up starting and doing this stuff straight off the draw, as opposed to sort of hitting this in the middle. Like this array was really in the middle of this section, so I took these positions slightly out of order just to be able to shoot these with the exact foot positioning I want and with maximum stability. And every time, like with optics, I frustrate myself because they say, hey, I'll shoot on hard targets like this. If I like the first two, I'll keep it. If I'm not 100% positive, I'll send another. And I knew, like beyond a shadow of a doubt, that I had a fist-sized group in the A zone right here and couldn't help but shoot an extra shot, because every time I leave myself that out, I always want to buy that extra insurance policy. So that's something maybe, after August or so, I'm going to work on a lot more to sort of gain the confidence. But it aggravates me when I know that I have the shots I want and I've already baked in the insurance policy in my head, so I do it anyway. Powering into this next position over here, plain shooting, trying to get the gun up early, crack that first shot early. Same thing right here. I didn't mind that by doing this slightly out of order. I got access to a slice of this a little early, so trying to get the first shot or two off before I'm committed to this position. And then basically ending up with your hips facing this window more or less. As I execute this wider transition, I'm going to bring my left foot up onto the actual line to free me up for the partial that I'll shoot last in this box. Reload and boogie all the way over here. And these two positions right here, there's really no other way to do it other than just kind of slide your way through it and make the best of it. How you handle this last section was up for a lot more debate. I was the first person to take this strategy, where basically I went activator, paper in the window, deep sidestep to hit the swinger as it went up. So basically, if this is the swinger motion, I hit it at the dwell and another one at the top as it went away. And I was pretty sure that the timing would work out. The only real question at that point is just if you have the confidence to know that the shots are on there. And I figured with a dot, I would know if they were on there or not, know if it needed an extra pass. And unfortunately, being in this pretty deep lean coming off that the swinger, I did not have any confidence in where those went. I thought I might have dove one deeper into the black, so I ended up coming back for it after I engaged this partial and flinging another shot on it. When I sort of, you do the target scan and you don't immediately see the hole, you're like, crap, I guess I'll just shoot an extra, which that costs you half, 3/4 of a second right there just for being impatient, just for a moment, which is, again, a bit frustrating. So here's another stage. Not a lot of room for improvement on this one. Strategically, the only thing that was really interesting about this was when we get down to the activator sequence. Reload here, really hot reload. Getting down to here, you can see basically the situation with the strategic options. My plan was to cut a little bit more right in this zone and take out this tuxedo from a bit farther away, and then shoot this target and this target before activating the pedal. The pedal activates a bobber that you can almost see back there, and then I was going to scuttle over, take out these two targets, and then the bobber. Ended up a little bit closer on this window than I necessarily realized, even with that very fast reload. So that was sort of a strategic failure in terms of my ability to predict what was going to happen. But otherwise, this works well. Getting into this lean, you know, I have basically both feet planted like right here and right here, with my hips pretty much perfectly square down range. So I'm taking a little bit of an awkward lean on this target and end up whipping an extra shot on it. But otherwise, like my it worked great, you know, except for the extra shot. My strategy with this is to finish all this shooting before stepping on the pedal. So all I have to do is get over here, and then I have options. I can either go direct to the bobber if it's available, or I can take out these 2 close, easy targets before I go to it, which was my A plan, so to speak. I did not, because this activator is outside the zone, you get penalized if you're shooting targets while your foot is on it. So I wanted to be very clear that I was done shooting before I stepped on it, which is the primary reason I ended up with this plan first. So let's see how this works out here. Close to perfectly. Yeah, it worked out close to perfectly. I more or less got lucky on this bobber that I landed 2 A's like exactly on the actual chest box right there. My plan was like, you know, because you have a very slim zone bobbing up and down like this, I'm not really expecting to get A's on this. I just want to land two hits on it as fast as possible. So a small element of luck in there with that, but otherwise the stage went very, very well in terms of the planning and execution. Here are 2 short courses that you shot back to back. This one's just a freestyle little burner.
Yep. Stand by.
Only 1 speed option here, really. So you shoot these mandatory positions, all 4 of them. And then right here, basically, you have the ability to take these 2 plates moving up into this position to get at another target that's out of sight left here. So wide transition, pulling off of this target around the top, and try to get the sight on this and work as you take a 2 or 3 step combo up to the front of the box, which worked out perfect. Next stage, again, shot these back to back. Crap, went a little too far. You start here unloaded, got to step in, load the gun, and then shoot these in order. My plan was, you know, I saw a lot of people basically shooting across the whole line and then squatting down to get at this low target here. I thought that seemed kind of cumbersome, especially if you couldn't effectively combine it with shooting a target while squatting. So I just elected to take these straight up in order. And I kind of faced my hips more or less this way and walked with my hips facing the left side of the stage and shot with my right arm more or less downrange, which is, of course, how I'd always prefer to do in terms of the natural point of aim, so to speak. And it worked out good. I think I had 2 chucks on this. One was the one that I pushed off here. The other one, I got a little greedy trying to get on this target really early. You can see I don't quite have a full target there. I have just about a full A zone when I commit to shoot, and that first one I thought was wide out on the delta. So I fired a quick pickup shot with my my handy one-hit and doubles experience, and it was a close Charlie, but a Charlie still. This was the biggest stage of the match by far. Very complicated in terms of the planning. Lots of different options with how to handle it. I basically, just to give you a short overview, I shot this position set that you see in front of you right here, then looped around the back and shot some stuff, and then proceeded back to where I am now to shoot down the right side and finish the stage, which is how most of our squad ended up handling it. So I step in, grab the gun, shoot this target that's hidden behind the barrel, this partial, and then step back to center and shoot plate hardcover, and then snatch a mag off the stored mag off the table and store it in a pouch to run around the horn here. That's what we were looking at in the beginning. Couple extras there. Grab this mag, run back to this position, and coming in this about face here, we have, I don't remember, 5 plates here that you have to knock down with a no-shoot steel in the back, so got to shoot fairly carefully. And you can see the extra there. I actually, as that first plate on the far right fell, I tried to sneak a shot in the second one, and ended up bouncing the shot that was aimed at this popper right here, the standing one, off the second popper, and basically clipped it on the actual calibration as it fell. So I had one extra shot there. And then the real big issue in this stage comes in this position here. I missed the mag button here.
Come on, go.
And then the mag sort of got stuck in the gun on the way out, and then I ended up eating this standing reload and get a little impatient. And the second shot on this target pushes up and to the right, just barely into the hardcover. But again, it's very easy to follow the rules on tuxedos. Like you have a square. If you try to shoot with just the dot moving anywhere inside the square, it'll work like 70% of the time, but not 100% of the time. You got to look at the zone you want to hit and aim at the A zone like it's smaller and just work with that. And if you treat it like it's smaller, you'll almost never miss it, but that's not what happened here. I got impatient. Opted to take this target quite a bit farther out than you could. You can see just from here, right? You can see the target almost all the way up to here. Almost everyone that tried to do that, it seems like they sort of get on the gas a little bit, then have to stutter step a whole bunch to shoot it, and then get on the gas again. So again, I'd rather minimize the number of positions, even if it makes the shooting a bit more difficult here. So I just shoot this a little more carefully as I step out, and that is my preferred strategy. Into here. I was the first shooter on the stage, so I screwed this up a little. I thought this swinger was going to come from the right side up and out. So my plan was basically to engage it once, like here, here, here. Try to do 2 on 1 pass, and then again, do basically shot 1, shot 2, shot 3, shot 4, and take 2 passes and hopefully have 3 hits on it. But I screwed up because I thought the target was going to be coming from this area, and it came from the other side. So I totally wasted the first pass, basically. And then I realized I wasted the second pass, shoot a third one, go over to this last target, and thinking about it the whole way, and just decided I needed an extra one. And with 4, mostly aimed shots, I think only had 2 hits on it. I had a delta off the swinger, so... Very tough, very complicated stage. Definitely a tough stage to go first on, but you got to go first on stages sometimes. And multiple big picture failures here made this the worst stage of the match for me. This stage had a couple strategic options to cut some positions, which I took. So you shoot this stuff straight up, low target here, push forward on this guy, extra shot. Reload into the front, and this is where the options come in. So my plan was basically to try to set up in a deep lean right here. You can see I slip a little bit coming into this position. But I try to set up in a deep lean so that I can shoot this plate, then sort of rock to center as I engage this target, and then I get about an inch of A-zone on this target if I play my cards right, which kind of worked out. My plan was, depending on how much A-zone I get, to sort of start aimed basically at the barrel, and then just engage it on the line, Charlie Delta. And I figured with that, all right, there's no way you're going to miss. You get 3 mostly aimed shots, and there's a good chance you'll get an Alpha Charlie on it. But as you can see, I missed the position a bit so that I could have been squared up quite a bit more towards this wall and gotten a lot more access to A-zone. So I'm pretty sure I shot Charlie Delta Mike in order, basically, on this as I got at it. Take a look at that. Maybe Delta Charlie Mike. Doesn't really matter. But anyway, that part didn't exactly work out. That's where the delta on the scorecard came from. I knew that was a possible risk, but definitely one I was willing to take. From right here, you can see I got basically 2 positions left, one here, and one here. I was able to delete the right-hand one by taking a lot of stuff in this deep lean. It relies on me getting my foot exactly right here with my heel on the ground and the ball of my foot up on the line. But by doing that, I can hug this wall quite a bit and get up my head around this position to cut a target from this position, by shooting it here, so to speak. So this guy gets got from as far out as possible so I can look down, which didn't really happen. And then into here, a couple extra shots on steel. And you can see I have to really settle myself down in to get this position. But again, I figured worst case scenario, even if I Alpha Charlie this target in the back, that's going to save me more time than pulling the gun back around this wall from here and having to step back to center to get it, or God forbid, work my way up into the front. So in 2 different places on this stage, basically opting to potentially eat bad raw points in order to save some time, knowing that it would be a medium to high factor stage. And it worked out for the most part. The execution errors, in my opinion, are more so with the extra shots on the steel and missing the positions. That's the part that I would, if I had my druthers, I would fix that before I'd fix just losing on the gambles. This stage went really well for me on the whole. Couple extra shots, trying to take a lot of stuff moving, probably unnecessarily, but again, wanted to keep the pace up, knowing that this would be, I figured it'd be a medium to high factor stage, even though it wasn't. Should have done my math a little better. Extra there, extra there. Back into here, got 2 poppers stacked. Basically try to drive these down as fast as I can. And reload here and finish. And pretty much just got lucky. This swinger timing worked out absolutely magnificently. My plan was, as I get to this target here, as I'm transitioning off this target, start to look at my peripheral to see where that swinger's at. And I can see as I transition on that it's onto this one that it's away. So I knew if I waited a tenth, it would come back. And it couldn't have worked out any better in terms of the timing.